Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for you today. And in this one I'm going to answer a commonly asked question. One that some of you may already know the answer to, but at least now you'll have all the evidence you need to back up your assumptions. And that is going to be, what are the best DPS buff or best DPS buff combination for my DPS? Now, if there's any difference for precision, you can let me know in the comment section. I tested might in this video because there was a lot of testing, which you'll see once we get to the oh glorious spreadsheet. But we're going to cover what combination or what buffs you should use to get the maximum damage you can. So it's going to be out of using a Nitro Cola, a sugar cookie, or any kind of variation of the damage consumable cookies, compound Omega. And then this is a Harris Ambrosia. So if you haven't played the Wonderverse DLC, this is a permanent version of the critical consumable that we get. So each seasonal, like the Valentine's seasonal, Christmas seasonal, Halloween seasonal, you get a temporary cookie or temporary consumable that lasts for about 60 minutes or so. This is a permanent version of that, so you get 3% criticals across the board. So critical ability, which is powers, and critical weapon, which is obviously your weapon attacks, and power in healing, but that doesn't really take effect. So the Harris Ambrosia is from using Red Nectar. Red Nectar is found in the Wonderverse solo, and then you need the M4 of the Gods. So basically you fortify just like an artifact. Red Nectar, break through, go back, unlock it, and we have Harris Ambrosia. So that's how you earn that, and then the next time you get another random one. So let's take a look at the spreadsheets and show you what I found. Okay, so to set up the testing, I was munitions. I used just a typical rotation of heat vision with soul amplifier, multi-net pull into chain gun. Didn't use robot psychic or superchargers or anything like that. Pet damage isn't affected by any of this, so there wasn't any point. I just wanted something that was really consistent because I did 30-second parsers. That's 900 seconds of DPSing, which works out to about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes of straight DPSing is enough to eliminate the crit bias. That's the biggest thing using like transformation card and powers that are going to crit, especially with like crit consumables. You need to eliminate the crit bias or to show what the difference of the crits will be. So that's why I had to do that many parsers. And the raids, raids like QE, which are going to be like 10 to 12 minutes if you're going for a speed feed regardless. So there's a bunch of raids that aren't even 15 minutes, so I think that's a good enough sample size. Like I said before, my artifact setup was Transformation Strategist and Solar, which is a very typical setup, so I wanted to make this as realistic as possible. So I tested the baseline parsers using nothing. I'm showing my base might each time. I'm Nitro Cola from Long Live the Legions. We have the damage cookie, didn't matter which one you use, they all are 5%. Then I used the Ambrosia, so just the critical consumable itself, which showed the critical differences. Then I did Omega and Nitro together. Then I did a compound Omega with the damage consumable cookie. And then finally I did the stacking 3 buff, which if you weren't aware, the Harris Ambrosia or these critical consumables will stack with compound and a cookie. They will not stack with the Nitro. The Nitro will eliminate Harris Ambrosia, so that won't work. So if you want to have the maximum stacking buffs, which are going to be Harris Ambrosia, compound, and the cookies. So what effect did that have? So on baseline parsers were 53,350, and my base critical is 47%. So once I took a Nitro, which gave me 2,074 might extra, so I went from 90,272 to 93,113. I have 55,968 and a 46.9. So really, even adding a Nitro didn't change any of the criticals. Still over that 15 minutes, I was pretty much the exact same, 48, 45, 46, 51, 47. So it all averages out to 47. This is 46.9, so 47. And I did 2,619 average damage higher. So by just taking a Nitro, like the Long Live the Legion one, you're looking at an average increase of 2,619, or basically 2,600 damage, just by taking a basic Nitro consumable. So change that to the cookie. Same thing, I'm at 47.8, which is still within the range. I'm still within 1% of anything else. So over my base damage, I had an increase just by the cookie of 3,312, and then the Nitro is actually worse than the cookie. The cookie is proven to be better than the Nitro. Not a huge amount of damage, but an average of 700 damage higher. So this pretty much proves the point that if you're wondering which is better, the Nitro or the Cookie, is going to be the Cookie. This is 15 minutes of DPSing. Like I've said before a bunch of times, it's a big enough of a sample size to say that. But in my testing, I found that 100% that the damage Cookie is better damage than the Cola. Which, I mean, makes sense because the damage Cola can only be earned through the seasonal, so it's going to be a limited amount of supply, where the Nitros you can pretty much get anywhere. They're free to, well, not free to craft, but essentially free to craft, and you can even buy them off the broker. So, next to the critical ambrosia, so I knew this was going to be worse. This is just the critical consumable, so that's why I have the crits going from 49 to 49. They're normally at 46. And then my might stayed at 90,000 to 272. So over my base damage, just using the critical consumable, I went from a 47 to a 50. So technically, I did see the 3% increase. I'm at 50.6. And then my base damage, I had an increase of about 1,400, 1,472. But just using the critical consumable was about 1,100 worse on average than Nitro, and 1,800 worse than the Cookie. So not that you really run into this that often, but say if you just did like a seasonal event and you just had that critical consumable, the temporary one, for an hour, this is the type of damage you're looking at. So obviously you knew it was going to be worse, but I just had to show that as well. So going into our 3 buffs here. So the first one we're looking at the Omega and Nitro. So a very common setup because it's readily available. So once again, my criticals was a 47.4, which is in line with everything else. So I was at 5,159 average damage increase over my base. So over just taking a Nitro, I was at 2,500, 2,541 average damage increase. And then over Cookie was 1,847. So this is a common setup you'll see in a raid. So if you're looking to see the difference between what you are outside of a raid and inside of a raid, essentially you're looking at a 5,000 damage average increase per parse. This is going to be the damage Cookie and Omega. So once again, I'm at a 7,000 increase over base, 45.55 over Nitro, 38.62 over Cookie. And then the increase from taking a Cookie and Omega from Omega and Nitro is an extra 2,015 damage on top of that. So that is a very large increase from taking a Cookie and Omega to just Omega and Nitro, because the damage Cookie, you get that 5% damage bonus, but your might stays the same, where now you get that might increase, so it helps it as well. And I get a 48.1, which is basically within 1%, so I was at 47 average to a 48, so once again, that's a realistic average increase. And then the Big Daddy, so the Ambrosia, the Compound, and this in this case was a Valentine's season Cookie, but it doesn't really matter. So I've got the 3% increase on the crits, I've got the might increase from Compound. I'm looking at a 9,313 over base. I'm looking at 6,695 increase over Nitro, a 6,000 increase over Cookie, 4,154 over Nitro and Compound, and then I'm looking at another 2,139 damage over Cookie and Omega. So the maximum buff possible that you can get as a might DPS in entering a raid is going to be taking a Harris Ambrosia or the critical consumable if you're lucky enough it's a seasonal, the Compound, and damage Cookie. So by taking those 3 stacking buffs, you're looking at 2,000 extra damage and 4,000 extra damage over Compound and Nitro. So I know that was a lot of numbers to throw at you. I will put the spreadsheet in the description and in Google Sheets doc, just so you can kind of go into it a bit more further if you want. But this was plenty of DPS testing on my behalf, but I wanted to kind of, like, everyone kind of knows this. Everyone's going to say, yeah, Nitro is better or Cookie's better, or everyone assumes that like a Compound and a Cookie is going to be the best kind of thing. So even though some of you may already know this, I wanted to be able to prove it to you so you actually had concrete results and numbers to go off by. So there's a lot of assumptions you can make from this, but this is something that I wanted to have shared to the community so you're well aware of what was actually possible and then what the actual numbers tell us. So I kind of unequivocally, we now know that 100% a Cookie is always going to be better than Nitro, but not by a giant margin. But as we see, as the buffs start to get stacked together, we see a large increase of 2,000 each time we add an extra buff. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can put them in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.